Hey there, Year 12s. We're looking at example 6 where we're reducing balance loans, very similar to exercise 9b. But what we're going to do now is we're going to use our CAS calculator, which is to use Finance Solver, which is the key skill in this exercise. So let's grab out our CAS. I'm just going to split screen so that we can work on both screens at the same time. Here we go, add a calculator, and we can start off by going to menu, number 8, which is finance, and then finance solver number 1. Okay, so let's see what we have in our problem over here before we use the finance solver. It says that Andrew borrows $20,000 at an interest rate of 7.25. So the first thing is I already know that my PV, which is present value, is $20,000. I would encourage that to get used to using Finance Solver. You should start putting the terms in. So N is obviously number of payments. Okay, so let's figure it out. We say the interest rate, so we know I for the percent is equal to 7.25, and then we know it's compounding monthly. Okay, so that's key. The compounding is the number of payments you make every year. Now, in this case, this loan will be repaid over 4 years with payments of $481.25. So what that tells me is that I am paying them back. So that's the PMT. PMT means the amount of payment. Now, be careful when money is getting out of your pocket from your account to the bank. That's considered a negative amount because you're losing money, $481.25. Whilst when the bank gives you money, that's positive. Okay, so that's something you gotta keep in mind of in terms of notes. So that's over here. Just to remind you, when the bank gives you money, it's positive, and when you give the bank back money, it is negative. Okay, that'll be key to solving the problems with the correct symbols. Now, you got PMT, you got PV, you got I, and we know that it's over the course of 4 years. Now, A, in question A, it tells you that how much, or asks you how much, correct to the nearest cent, does Andrew owe after 3 years? Now, this is key because after 3 years, we can then determine if it's compounded monthly, how many times would this process have been compounded? That's what N is. How many of these payments would you've had to do? So in this case, we know it's 3 years, and compounded monthly, we know there are 12 months in a year. And in your N over here, in your finance solver, we can actually just type in 12 months times 3. Okay, so 12 months in 1 year, and there are 3 years. So 12 times 3, and they'll calculate it for you. It's 36. I, which is 7.25, I already know. Present value is 20,000, and we know that the payment value is 480. Minus 481 and 25 cents. Okay, so that's the amount you're giving out. And what am I looking for? How much does Andrew owe? So in this case, I filled out all my points, and I am now looking at the future value, which is, I guess, the total value at that point. How much do I owe? So you can see here that now gives me $17,000 and wait, why is it 17,000? That's 172. That doesn't make sense. What have I done wrong? Oh, that's right. I forgot to check the CPY and PPY. There we go. No wonder. Forgot to mention as well, PPY and CPY. Remember, that's payments per year. So each year, how many times do you pay? And we know it's not 1 because it's compounded monthly. It should have been 12. And CPY is usually the same as well. So that's the compounded per year. Okay, so often whatever you compound, so we're just going back here, CPY, the number of times the interest is compounded per year, and then the number of payments per year. Well, interest and payment often compound the same time. So I forgot to make sure that it was 12 because it says compounding monthly, and I put it as 1. That's why it didn't work out. So let's do this again. I'm going to press enter, and that now tells me negative $554. Well, so negative $5,554.36 is what I owe. Notice it's negative. Negative meaning that I am still owing the bank that much. Okay, there's still that much more that I need to continually pay. Okay, obviously if it's positive, then it means that the bank owes me. So in this case, FV, if I'm answering it after 3 years, then my value that I owe, or Andrew owes, where is it? Owes $5,554.36. Okay, and that's rounding to the nearest cent as well. So that's part A. And then if we look at part B similarly, let's have a look at part B now. So what is the final payment amount Andrew must make to fully repay, and that's key there, fully repay the loan after 4 years? So essentially you want the balance to end up being 0. So after 4 years, your end amount now is no longer 36. Okay, so N is now after 4 years. That implies that it is going to be 4 times 12, which is 48 times. Okay, so I'm going to write here 4 times 12. My rate is still the same. It hasn't changed. And I borrowed $20,000 to begin with, and I'm paying back $481. And compounding, checking 12. Yeah, PPY is all correct. So it's 1212. So what am I looking for now? I want to know the future value. Whoops. I remember to press tab to move back and forward. So shift tab allows you to go back to FV. And I'm going to press enter in FV to figure out if it's 48 months, how much would I have paid? And what's interesting here, okay, I'm just going to screenshot this section just so you can see. What's interesting in this section is that notice the sign of FV, it is positive. So what this tells me here is that after 48 compounded monthly, so payments of $481.25, I actually now have paid off my loan. And in fact, the bank, because it's positive, the bank owes me, well, rounding this off, I guess that will be 11 cents, right? So the bank owes me, bank owes Andrew actually, owes 11 cents. Sorry, I should just write 11 cents, but I guess $0.011 to Andrew. So when the question asks, what is the final payment? Well, the final payment, he's actually paid more if he was paying $481.25. That was his last payment, okay? So his last payment is now overshooting it. And so to make sure that the bank doesn't owe Andrew anything, instead of $481.25, to make sure it rounds nicely in that final payment, they're going to minus 11 cents. So minusing 11 cents, that now knows that Andrew only needs to pay in the final repayment is $481 and what's 25 take away 11? That's 14? Is that right? 14 cents? Yeah. Okay, so that tells me now Andrew only needs to pay $481.14 as the final payment, and that should net it to 0 and finish off the loan for the bank. So the bank won't owe Andrew, and Andrew doesn't owe the bank anything as well. Okay, so you can see that I can play around with the finance solver to answer those questions, but be really mindful with the positive and negatives, especially in the next coming questions. You'll notice why you need to know, when it's positive or negative to carry on the questions.